It's a beautiful day for your civic duty. It's also really warm. Why is it so warm? Global warming. So when we're talking about producing, here's an interesting little tidbit from one of the books that I use, The Theatrical Imagination. And in it, it talks about Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera. Now, if you've never seen the musical version of Phantom of the Opera or listened to it, it's well worth a listen to on iTunes. It's pretty cool. It's pretty spooky, too, if you like spooky music. I remember seeing it at the Auditorium Theater way back in the late 80s. And Phantom of the Opera is really, really spectacle-laden. There's a huge chandelier that comes to life. It acts like a time machine. And it comes crashing down at the end of Act 2. And there's a sequence where the Phantom brings in a boat. They use a Pepper's Ghost effect in order to make him appear and disappear. And then, of course, there is all the makeup that comes with the revealing of the Phantom's face. And it turns out to be Jeff Goldblum with a grill. It's pretty cool, is what I'm saying. But when it comes to producing the show, when it comes to actually bringing it to life, it took 4 people to conceptualize the show. Andrew Lloyd Webber, and then someone to write the lyrics, and somebody to help him write the book of it. But then, and this is where I'm going to quote here, it took more than 400, quote-unquote, theater people and $8.5 million to put it on stage for its Broadway opening in 1988. There are 125 individual artists, 36 actors, 31 musicians, 1 director, 2 choreographers and their assistants, 5 primary designers, 4 associate designers, 4 assistant designers, 20 consultants. I imagine that's for the magic. Yeah, it's got to be for the magic. 22 specialty artists and 170 individual production staff professionals, including construction crew, running crews, and 37 backstage specialists just to operate all the scenery and the computers. And what's interesting is I remember when I went and saw it, there's somebody on the floor of the stage just before the stage lit up and we were in the world of the play. There was someone on the stage fixing like a smoke machine or something. It was really kind of cool. But I've always been a fan of the type of theater that doesn't rely on the spectacle-laden. But I do have to admit that the spectacle-laden theater is usually the type of theater that gets butts in seats. So, here's some information that you might have already had, but is all about what a producer does and talks about profit and non-profit theater. All right, gang, you might have had this before, but here's a little information on what a producer does. Basically, a producer is the money. They sometimes have a degree in arts business, but usually they're a theater person. Their big thing is they must maintain the integrity of the mission statement. What's a mission statement, you might ask? Shabuski! There you go. A statement, purpose, intent, type of shows, target audience. Make sure you write that down. One thing I may not have gotten into is the difference between profit and not-for-profit. Now, profit, these are where your big budget Broadway musicals come from. Someone has a singular idea to do usually a musical, and they get a bunch of people together with a lot of money, And it's a single idea, many producers, with the hope that it'll be a big, big hit and everybody will get millions and millions of dollars. Not-for-profit is usually regional theaters, tax exempt. They are the small business side of theaters. And the two people in charge are usually an artistic director and a managing director. There's a success story for you, Hamilton, of course. Dig this. It cost $12.5 million to produce that, but they recouped that in weeks. Lin-Manuel Miranda makes $6.4 million and counting, and that's not counting his salary when he was actually doing the show. But everyone involved in that show is making money. I mean, they are making bank, and this is before COVID hit, obviously. And merchandise alone is $15 million, and that's still counting. A not-so-success story, Carrie the Musical. Like Spider-Man, this was a great idea, but poor execution. Mainly it just had technical problems during the 4-week preview period, and an actor was almost decapitated, so she quit. That alone was enough to almost tank the show, but it had so many technical issues, and producers ended up pulling their money. Total of $8 million to produce that show, and it's known as a Broadway flop. It did find a revival in 2012, which a lot of people like. Reduce Shakespeare Company, they are an example of a not-for-profit theater company that is doing quite well for themselves. And they have several shows, not just the complete works of William Shakespeare, but several of them. And during non-COVID times, they're touring at least 2 or 3 of them frequently. And fictional versus non-functional, I know I included this, but it's just good to review it. Remember, fictional is the world of the play, plot, characters, and the reason why it was created. And then functional are the elements that are needed to bring the play to life. Make sure you write this down. Make sure you keep this lecture handy. Meow.